Center. Welcome to Testimonios de Nuestros Latinx transfer students. I am very excited to have you join us today. The event is coordinated by Eso Adelante program for Latinx Heritage Month. And before Nimzi provides an overview of the session today, I want to share some community guidelines, just a reminder that this session is being recorded. I hope you are okay with that. If you are not, please put in the chat so we can make sure that everyone is all right with being recorded. So I'll give you 1 second for that. All right, great. And with that, we have everyone on mute, and you will have a chance to answer questions towards the end of the session. Thank you very much. Nimzi?
Thank you, Mary. So starting with our agenda, so an overview of today's session, we're going to do some quick introductions of the staff that we have in the session, and then we're going to do a really quick poll to get a sense of who's in the audience. And then we're going to go straight into our panel. We're going to have our panelists start with introductions. And after we finish with the panel questions, we're going to have a short presentation from the Transfer Center sharing some resources for students. We're going to take a quick break. We're here for an hour and a half, so we wanted to incorporate a short break in there. And we're going to wrap up with a Q&A. So if you have any questions for any of the panelists, you can type them into the chat at any point, and we will address them during the panel if they relate to the questions being asked. Otherwise, we'll save them for the Q&A. So thank you for joining us. We're going to get started. Oh, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Nimzi Garcia. I'm the Program Services Coordinator for Eso Adelante. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella. And I'm going to ask our other staff in the audience to also introduce themselves. Margarita, I pick you next.
Hi, everyone. So I am Margarita Baez. I'm the Assistant Program Director for the Eso Adelante at Cañada College. My pronouns are she, her, hers, ella. And welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see you all. I'm going to just call out Rance if you want to introduce yourself.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rance Bobo, and I work in the STEM Center, as you guys can see. So what I do for the STEM Center is I arrange our virtual tours to universities, also speaker series, and also I assist with the transfer process. And so I guess I will pass the baton to Gonzalo.
Thank you, Rance. Bienvenidos a todos. My name is Gonzalo Arrizon. My pronouns are he, him, él. I am the retention specialist for the STEM Center, so I work with Rance very closely with any students interested in majoring in a STEM major and transferring to a four-year university. So I am representing UC Berkeley today because I was there as an undergraduate, and I also worked there as a staff member. So if anybody has questions about UC Berkeley or STEM, I'm here as support, okay? Thank you. So I'm gonna popcorn it over to any other staff here?
Soraya?
Soraya, yes, Soraya, go for it.
You're muted, Soraya.
Sorry about that. Welcome, everyone. I apologize for that. Welcome, everyone. And I want to say that I'm happy to be here and be glad to answer your questions about transfer. I am a program supervisor of transfer services and glad to help and helping you with your transfer goal.
We also have Araceli Arias.
Hi, everybody. My name is Sara. I do the graphic design in the Learning Center. And I'm excited to hear everybody's stories.
And I think lastly, we also have Jasmine.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, apologies. My camera's not working today. I'm working off a new computer and we're working on it. My name is Jasmine Camariotis. I use she, her pronouns. I am the project manager of Eso Adelante at San Francisco State. I'm really excited to be here. I'm really excited to see everyone and to hear the stories. I was also a transfer student myself, and so transfer students have a really special place in my heart. But if you do plan to transfer to San Francisco State, let me know, hit me up. I can help support you through that process.
All right, thank you everyone for introducing yourselves. We're gonna get started with our poll. So we do wanna know a little bit about you, who's in the audience. We're gonna have 3 separate questions that you can answer. The first one is for everyone, and it's how do you identify? And you can choose any of the answers available. For our students in the audience, when do you intend to transfer? And you can select the semester that you would be starting at your new school. And then also for our students in the audience, what kind of school will you be applying to? Will it be a CSU, a UC, private, out of state? So I'll give that about a minute or 2, and then we'll go through our responses. Okay, so I'm going to end the poll and we're gonna look at our answers. So of those in our audience today, most are first generation students. You identify as Latinx, Chicanx, and immigrants. So I'm very happy to have you all here. Most of us who are here as staff were also first generation students. And there's a good number of students who plan, or 2 students who plan to transfer for fall 2021. So that must mean that y'all are in the process of applying, which is great because Soraya will be sharing some resources for those of you who are applying later on. And it looks like most folks here are going to be applying to a CSU. So very cool. You're definitely in the right place. And a lot of our panelists were actually CSU or are currently in CSUs. So thank you for sharing. Thank you for being here. And we are going to get started with our panel. As a disclaimer, we are missing 1 student who's in the panel here, but I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and we're going to allow them the opportunity to introduce themselves.
Diana, I think you were the first one on the
Yes,
picture. I'm
I was
calling
like,
you to
it's my
introduce
turn.
yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Diana Vizcarra, transfer student at San Francisco State, majoring in political science. My college is College of Liberal Arts and College of Liberal and Creative Arts. And I mean, it's so excited. I'm so happy of this new experience in my new journey at San Francisco State. Again,
Yeah.
hello?
Thank you, Diana. Jay, where are you? Hi.
Right here. Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Jay. I go to Sonoma State University. And yeah, I am a math major at Sonoma State, and I transferred from Kenyatta College. I also went to Menlo Atherton High School down there. So if anyone went there, I also went there as well. But yeah, that's me.
Thank you. Elmer, where are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm Elmer Martinez Ceballos. I was a Sequoia High School student for 2 years before going to middle college at Cañada. And after that, I did a summer there after I graduated from high school. Went down to Santa Barbara, went to the local CC there before transferring to UC Santa Barbara. So I graduated in 2017, but I look back at my Kenyatta days very fondly. I was a student senator there, and you know, just had a lot of my just best memories on my campus. So thank you everyone for having me.
Thank you. Now we're gonna move over to Nia. Hi, Nia.
Yes, hello everyone. Please excuse my tardiness for coming in. My residence hall actually is having a fire alarm testing, so I'm in my car. But yes, my name is Nia. I am in my last semester of transfer to San Francisco State University from San Joaquin Delta College in Stockton, California. And my pronouns are she, her, and ella. And my major is Africana Studies with a minor in education. So my major is within the first, no longer only, College of Ethnic Studies. And yes, that's a little bit about me.
Thank you. I think Laura, did you join us?
Hi, my name is Laura. I am an international student from Colombia. I was a student at Kenyatta College a year ago. I graduated in spring 2019. And right now I'm in City College for the nursing program. My major is nursing. So, yeah.
Okay, well, thank you everyone. Short introductions. I think now it's Rance and I will be asking questions, and then you guys can answer the questions in the same order or just unmute yourself from the panel and answer the question. So Rance, do you want to go for the first question?
I cannot see my questions.
Okay, let me read the first question while you figure that piece out. So the first question was just introduction. So we already got through that. So the second question was actually that Kenyatta College and San Joaquin Delta College, they are designated as Hispanic serving institutions because over 40% of the students identify as Hispanic or Latinx. Did you know that your community college was an HSI, Hispanic serving institution, when you started classes? If so, did you feel like you belonged in the school as a Latinx student as a result of knowing?
Well, when I started, no, I did not know that Kenyatta College was in this category. And then thanks to ESO Adelante program, I started to learn all these new concepts and also how Kenyatta College important was for my community, like Latinx community. And yeah, definitely once I realized that, I felt more like connected to the campus and also start to see like as part of my identity and community. And yeah, in my classes also there were a lot of students that speak also Spanish.
Laura, did you unmute?
Oh, me? Oh, I thought we were going in order. Okay, so I didn't know at the beginning. I kind of found out on my own when I was attending classes. I just will observe that many of the students, most of them were Spanish speakers, or they came from, their families came from Latin countries. So yeah, that's how I found out that Cañada College was had a big Latin population.
Hi. So for me, I didn't know Kenyatta was an HSI. I didn't even know what HSI meant until I started getting more involved with campus. And I think it was until I got in touch with the STEM Center. And then I spoke with I think Gonzalo or Sally at the time when Sally was working. And they were, telling me about campus and I didn't know that. And also, I think I was a part of ASCC for a bit, so I think Michiko also went over that. And I think it is important to know that because the dynamics in a community college or in a college that is HSI is different than those that are not, I believe. So, because I noticed a difference where I am now versus community college.
For San Joaquin Delta College, I did not know it was an HSI until I joined our Puente program, which is the learning community for Hispanic Latinx students. That was during the second semester of my time at community college. I had first joined our FIRM program, which is our learning community for Black and African American students. My family is Cuban, so our roots are very much in Afrocentricity, and we are very connected to our African roots more so than we are to our Hispanic and Latinx heritage. Even though mi abuelo and mis tíos and tías, they speak Spanish. I didn't grow up speaking Spanish. I understand it, but it was a very different experience going into the Puente program, where I was the only person I identified as Afro-Latinx. And I didn't know it until I was in my first session with my counselor, and they told us that San Joaquin Delta College was an HSI. And I noticed it. It wasn't surprising, knowing that Stockton, California has a very big Hispanic and Latinx population.
Sorry, everybody. I know we went out of order, but I'm having some internet trouble here. So when I went to Kenyatta for the first time, I wasn't aware that HSIs were even a thing. I knew that there was a very large Latino population on campus, and had been involved on the campus just through my community and playing soccer there too. So it wasn't until I was outside of the middle college classrooms that I realized just exactly how large the community was there. And once that was kind of made clear to me, you could start seeing why there were certain programs. I was involved with Upward Bound and a few other campus programs, and I started to realize why exactly they were focused on uplifting Latinos and making sure they knew of what resources were on campus. So once I figured that out, the game got a lot easier. So.
Thank you. Go ahead. France?
Yes. Okay. So the next question, when did you know you wanted to transfer? What resources did you use? And who were your campus resources on campus? Who were your resources on campus? So when did you know you wanted to transfer?
Well, initially I didn't want to transfer, like it was not an option for me. But thanks to all the support received by like different programs and due to get involved right with the campus also, I realized that it was possible. And yeah, so Eso Adelante, our scholars, the transfer center were mostly the programs who helped me a lot with this process. And yeah, that's why I'm right now at San Francisco State.
All right. Anybody else? Or was it a surprise that, oh?
Oh, I forget the LPS too.
Okay.
Yes.
I knew I wanted to transfer as soon as I got to community college. My educational journey is not usual in the sense that I spent my first 2 years out of high school actually at a private four-year university. I ended up flunking out and had to go to community college in order to transfer somewhere else. I had no choice but to transfer eventually. My parents did not want me. If I was at community college, I had to either get a technical degree and go straight into the workforce, or get a degree and actually do what I wanted to do, which was work within higher education. So I ended up dropping out of my first institution after my 2 years. Academically, I didn't do well, primarily because I didn't have the support needed as a student of color, and specifically as a Black student. And there were very few resources as well for Hispanic and Latinx students. And once I got to community college, that's when I started joining my learning communities. It was the first time I realized and found out that there were people that looked like me within my field who weren't just staff. They were also faculty. Within community college, I had my first Black professors. I took my first Chicano history class. I took my first Black history class, which propelled me into transferring and getting my major into Africana studies. And so it was a mixture of my counselors and professors within my learning communities, and the help of the San Francisco State advisors that usually come to our campus as well and speak to students.
Excellent.
Well, I knew that I wanted to transfer from the very beginning because as a nurse in California, most of the hospitals and nursing facilities like to have nurses with a bachelor's degree. The ADN programs is still out there. I'm in one of them right now, but it is well known that all hospitals are trying to get all their staff with bachelor's degrees. And the ones who came in with ADNs, they want them to go further and get their bachelor's degree. And I actually got accepted to Cal State University Ucsb for this fall. However, because of COVID, they decided to postpone their nursing program for a whole year. And I didn't want to wait another year to start the nursing program. So I decided to join CCSF and their nursing program. And actually something interesting that happened to me recently was at the beginning, I knew San Francisco State University didn't accept international students for the nursing program. So that was really devastating to me because it's really close to where I live right now, and it was very convenient. And when I started my prerequisites, I was looking at their list of prerequisites because I was hoping to transfer to San Francisco State University, but then later I found out that they didn't accept international students for the nursing program. So I always had that in the back of my head, and I asked the admissions department, and they say that they don't accept international students because of immigration requisites such as social security and background checks and all the stuff. And then, but I have all that. I have a social security, I I have my background check, like I have all the prerequisites. The only thing is that I'm not a US citizen or a permanent resident. And they say, no, I'm sorry, we don't accept. So I was just really upset, especially when I started the program at CCSF, because they have a bridge program with San Francisco State, which is like, you can finish your bachelor's degree in a shorter amount of time while you still attending CCSF. So I decided to write an email to the nursing department, and very sassy email. I was like, hey, I have all the prerequisites. I have a great GPA. I have healthcare experience, and I have everything that you're asking for, except that I'm no US citizen or permanent resident. And that seems a little bit discriminatory to me. And I got an email back saying that no, that they did accept international students. I was like, wait a minute, but your website says that you don't. The admissions department says that you don't. And the International Students Center says that you don't. So what's going on in here? And long story short, I sent like tons of emails. They were back and forth talking to the different departments. So if talking to one department is complicated, I was talking to 3 departments: the nursing department, the admissions department, and the international student department. And after like 3 or 4 weeks, I finally got them to talk between each other. I was like, well, I'm getting different things from everybody. So what's going on in here? Am I allowed or I'm not allowed? And they finally decided that I was allowed, and they even gave me a special code to apply to San Francisco State, because the deadline already passed between all their emails back and forth going on. So I applied. I'm waiting for their answer on November. I should know their answer on November. And it's something that it makes me really happy, even if I don't get accepted. If I do, that's awesome. I will be the first international student graduating from the nursing program. And if I don't get accepted, at least I opened doors to other international students in the nursing major that want to apply to San Francisco. Yeah.
See, that's the type of experiences we want to hear. You went after it. Congratulations. And hopefully you do get in. So, all right. So we're going to move on to the next question. And it reads, what are some of the differences you notice between your community college and your current school? And there's a part A and part B to that. And so the part A is, do you see as many Latinx students in your classes or around the campus?
At San Francisco State, I think I see Hispanic and Latinx students everywhere. It's a Hispanic serving institution, and it very much is. All of my core classes are in Africana studies, so the majority of people within those classes are Black and Black identifying students. So I don't see as many, but within my criminal justice class that I'm taking this semester, I am the only Black student within that class. Everyone else is Hispanic or Latinx, which is quite interesting. And it is the topic of very good conversations that we have, especially when it comes to the criminal justice system and how it treats Black and brown residents and citizens of the United States. So yes, but I do see a lot.
All right.
Thank you, Nia. You helped me. I mean, it's a hard question to answer, especially in these days, right? Since everything is virtual. But yeah, definitely. I also noticed in my current classes that there are a lot of Hispanic students. And we know that San Francisco State is a diverse university with a diverse community. And that's one of the reasons that I also picked San Francisco State? Well, because I was born in San Francisco State, but also because I know there were a lot of Hispanics too. So I kind of want to find my comadres and the people who can support me and help me, this path.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah, I can answer this one too. So some of the big differences I noticed between Kenyatta and UC Santa Barbara, UCSB is actually a HSI as well. And so, I instantly noticed the difference between what the transfer center at Kenyatta was doing versus what the transfer student center at UCSB was doing. UCSB built up the TESC just to kind of focus on transfer students and getting them quicker appointments with counselors and things of that nature, just trying to specialize on the needs of that community too. But I didn't see many Latinos in my political science classes. I think that's just the I guess the breakdown of how it went. But I did see that I had to look for my community through other clubs and outside of my major to kind of to find my own group of friends and to get to know them that way too. And so it was very surprising compared to Kenyatta, where I felt like there are just so many Latinos and the campus is so much smaller. You run into everybody. So that was a big difference I noticed.
All right. So we're going to move on to the B part of this question. So do you receive a similar level of support, and how does it contrast to Kenyatta? So Elmer, you kind of hit that. So at your campuses, Jay?
Yeah, hi. So for me, yeah, it's similar. I similarly feel like Elmer, where like Kenyatta, there was like I would see Latinos like every other person that would be on campus. And now at Sonoma State, it's a bit different. That's a STEM major as well. And now a math major, and being in upper division, the upper like division courses, I'm pretty much mainly the only person of color in the class. And it does feel a little intimidating sometimes, like imposter syndrome, all those feels. But I certainly went around campus and I found this multicultural center called the Hub, which holds, not only does it hold like, there's two people who run it. There's a person who is in charge of like race and like inclusivity or intersectionality between race or other like races, and then also gender and like LGBTQ, intersectionality between that. So they work together and they call it the Hub. And as a person who's trans, I appreciate that because that brings two, like if it was a Venn diagram, it brings two together. So that was beautiful to find. So I kind of hold on to that one dearly because like I don't have the same level of support that I had at Kenyatta. You kind of have to really reach out and find your little spaces. So it's like a much bigger area to explore. But there's also a program. So I'm looking to be a math teacher. There's a program called Puerta that is an acronym that stands for, I exactly don't remember, but it basically for underrepresented educators of the future, something along those lines. And I'm in that program, and there's people of color that are there, and it really makes me feel like supported, and I can work with them on like grad school or future like teaching credential goals. So that's another resource that I use.
Awesome. Thank you for that, Jay. So Margarita?
Definitely, yeah, I agree with Jay. I think one of the biggest difference between like Kenyatta College and San Francisco State, it's the Kenyatta College is a small campus where it's easy to learn the different programs and resources we can have as a students and benefit from them. And San Francisco State have a lot of programs and a lot of resources that it's overwhelming go through and try to navigate the web page and try to find the good resources for you, right? but I had some kind of support, and it was really helpful. Even before I started classes with Jasmine Camario, yes, because she helped me to clarify some doubts and also my concerns before I start at San Francisco State. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. I think we have one more question. So the last one here is, looking back at your experience while in your community college, what do you wish you had known about the transfer process that you would like to share with Latinx students who are also going to transfer?
I have a burning one. So when I applied to Sonoma State, I did not know that for anyone who's in EOPS right now at Kenyatta, it's really, really, really important. And I hope people haven't submitted their application yet. I did not fully submit the EOPS or EOP equivalent, whatever the equivalent is. I think it's EOPS Sonoma State or any CSU at the time. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I can apply later. Like in Kenyatta, you can apply whenever, right? It's not like right when you start Kenyatta. And so I went to their office and they told me it was only a point of entry program, meaning that you can only apply at the time you're applying like to the CSUs. So that's one huge one if you really want to have those resources. That's similar to like Kenyatta or wherever community college you went to. I didn't know that. So that's a big one. I also would have liked to know like what the upper division coursework would look like. So if you know what you want to major in, like for instance, for math, I was doing for lower division mathematics, it's basically like algebra and calculus and a lot of computations and formulas. And then you get to upper division math and it's like raw writing. So I'm doing like proof writing and it's more of analysis. So I kind of wish I explored more what it would be like after I finished like lower division and see what I'm kind of going into. Because then things have changed a little. I kind of miss numbers. It's more writing, but yeah, those are the two things that I would say.
Very important ones.
Yes, I would definitely piggyback on that. I wasn't a part of EOPS in my community college, but I didn't know I'm a spring transfer. I didn't know I could have applied for EOP for spring. Did not know about that at San Francisco State. So that really made me upset. I was upset. But also for students planning to transfer, please make sure to meet with your advisors about what classes will transfer and what classes won't transfer. When you get into your major classes, once you start, try to look at what classes from your community college you can get waived, so you won't have to retake similar classes again within your major. And also, more often than not, if you are a first generation student, your parents are not going to know the little ins and outs of financial aid or anything like that. You are the one that's the point of contact between the financial aid advisors or financial aid counselors and your parents. So it's really up to you to really pay attention and be your own advocate at that point. Because at the end of the day, just like Laura with the perseverance and the determination, if she did not do that, she would not have had that opportunity to apply to San Francisco State. And hopefully you get in, sis. Hopefully you get in. But we have to be our own advocates at that point. Our parents don't know the language. They could fight for us on our behalf to the best of their ability, but they probably will not get the same answers, probably more than likely because of FERPA policy and because we have to do that. So you have to, once you're ready to transfer, be ready to fight for yourself and be your own advocate. That's my biggest thing when it comes to transferring, because financial aid's that big part. So I'm really happy that most people are trying to transfer to a CSU because it makes it a lot easier on us. And yeah, so that's a little bit of my advice as well.
Well, one of my advisors for those students who are thinking in transfer is to attend all the transfer workshops available. That's where I found out all these information like regarding financial aid, that I was able to apply for EOP, which is another program, and they let you know that if you have UPS, so you can also apply to this program, which is similar, right? But definitely, even if they don't make sense to you at that time, I mean, once you go through that experience, you can know what's going on and kind of understand because it's an overwhelming process where you have like a lot of information. But if you have this information thanks to all these workshops, it will be worth it and very good for you.
Thank you.
To kind of piggyback off what Diana said, I think the biggest lesson for me was that you got to get involved early. And I know somebody just mentioned that too. It's, you are your own advocate. So meeting people, finding, if you're first generation like I was, finding a mentor, because you can't, depend on your folks for advice. So finding somebody who's been through the process, making connections with professors or your advisors too is so important. And I think it's also a matter of balance too, because when you transfer for the first time, I think a lot of transfer students want to kind of get the college experience, whatever they think that might be. And, you have to fit that in 2 years. And that might mean that playing sports might get in the way of, your school, or trying to balance your jobs might get in the way of, being able to study at night. So I think realizing what your limitations are is really important for just being successful. And yeah, I think those are the biggest lessons I learned. And also finding an emotional support group, whatever that might be, having friends, or, just your teachers or somebody that you can speak to and, explain where you're at. Because I think for first generation students, it makes it that much more difficult to talk about those issues when it looks like everyone else is doing great. So I think being able to realize that is really important, just to have those connections.
I also want to say something, and yes, be your own advocate, like do your own research. Even if you go to a counselor, I didn't have the best experience with my counselors because apparently not many international students come to study nursing in the United States. So they even didn't know which universities accepted international students. So I have to call all the CSUs one by one in California to see, hey, do you accept international students? So yes, do your own research, call, you send your own emails. Like don't wait or for someone to tell you things, or don't rely in like, oh no, my classmate told me this, my classmate told me that, because not always they're not always gonna say the same thing to the students like this happened to me. So do your own research. And the other thing that I wanted to say is like get involved on campus and in extracurricular activities. Work on campus, work outside campus, volunteer for any program or for any work that you want to pursue once you graduate or while you're studying. Pretty much all of them, they're gonna ask you about your experience in a work setting. Like if they call you or if they selected you, it's because, okay, yes, this person has good grades, but we want to see how this person acts, in a real life setting. And that's why they have interviews with you, because they want to see how you talk, how you express yourself, and that they also do community and like how do you support your community. So getting experience, it's very important for all the programs and for any job that you may want to pursue as a new grad.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for sharing. I think we're at a time where we're going to move on to our transfer center presentation. So So we're gonna put that back up on the screen.
Yeah.
The floor to Soraya, I think.
Yeah, thank you so much to everyone who shared. I'm gonna put up Soraya's slide really quickly.
Hey, thank you. Thank you all for sharing your experience and your knowledge with the students and with us. It's for me to go to know what you went through and take it on from that and move on and help bring the help to other students who are planning to transfer. You echo what we are trying to do at the Transfer Center. We, as a counselor and as a transfer program supervisor, I always want to help the students to be advocates for themselves. It is important to do that. It's easy for me to coming and saying that, yes, this is you need to do X, Y, and Z. But I want students to know, and we all are counselors at the Transfer Center, we're all trying to make sure that you understand what you have to do to transfer. And understanding the process, it's helping you, it would be strengthening you, and it will give you a strong suit to go to move forward and taking care of yourself when you go to a bigger space. I was a transfer student, and at the time I transferred, there was no transfer services. And at the time I transferred, there was no the receiving institution didn't have transfer process and transfer support. It was really hard to navigate through all of those loops and understanding what I need to do. And as a transfer student, as a counselor, I want to be there for all our transfer students to make sure that you become advocate for yourself. I give you all of the tools you need and help you understand what they are. And through the Transfer Center, I'm teaming up with Gloria Darafshi, who is our transfer counselor and our articulation officer. We are bringing a lot of workshops and academic support for you to make sure that you understand all of this. One of the things we do, if you don't know what majors you need to do, to take, to follow, we're helping you to understand that major. We're helping you to understand what programs offered at what universities, helping you to select the universities. Basically, we are trying to help you to build up transfer plan. When you're talking about transfer plan, I know that many of you meet with your counselor and developing transfer student educational plan. The student educational plan is part of your transfer plan. The transfer plan, you need to know from A through Z what you need to do to get there and graduate. It's not just from here transferring to four-year institution. You need to know what schools are offering the program. Do you have a program? Right now, we do have pathways. Yes, it's a cluster, but when you transfer, you need to specifically apply for a major, not in an area. Then you need to decide what major you want to get into to be prepared for it. Then you need to find out what school you need to apply to, what the requirements are for that specific schools. How can I make myself competitive for all of the selection I have in my list? Then those are the things that we can help you with through the workshops, through individual counseling, group counseling. We provide those information. We make sure that you are in the right path and you know what you know to do exactly to get there. This is one side of academic and getting ready academically. This is one side of your transfer plan. And I heard from many of you that you also had struggling with financing it. That's another planning that you have to work around. It is not just academic. You need to also understand what it takes for you to pay for the tuition and what's the difference. Kenyatta doesn't have tuition. We have enrollment fees. How is it is going to be different from here and four-year institution, and how much you have to pay and how you can pay it. You take advantage of, many of you may take advantage of EOPS, you may take advantage of financial aid, but there are scholarships, and those financial aid and scholarships or services are also available at four-year universities. But we're also helping you to channel through those avenues and those services that are available at the four-year universities, and to plan for it. It's not just overnight you say, okay, I have it and I can transfer and I pay for it. You need to understand how much they charge you, And how is it going to be, what are the possibilities to pay for it? Is it in one-time pay and divided? Is it divided? It's all fees, or is it books? Is it housing, transportation, health insurance? What is involved in those fees? Those are the things that you need to also understand. It's not just I'm getting ready academically and moving forward. We provide workshops for you to understand those possibilities as well. We do make sure that you, as you transferring and transitioning out, you also need to know what other options you have to enhance your transfer admission status. For example, are you going to tag to UC campuses if you are planning to transfer to UC? Or are you transferring to CSUs? And I'm seeing that majority of you are trying to do that, but is your major is part of associate degree for transfer? If it is, you need to think about it, that enhance your admission to the campuses, especially to those campuses that they are not in our local area. I heard some of you transfer to Santa Barbara area or other area completely. And then this is associate degree for transfer may help you to boost your admission status with your GPA and all of that. Those are the things that we are helping students to understand what you can do and plan for those courses as well, to make sure that from day one, you know your options and how you can enhance it and move forward. We do other offer programs like honors program, UCLA and many other, UC Irvine, many other UCs and private institutions, even CSUs. They are looking for students who are coming with honors program. Can you use it as stepping up your admissions possibilities? Those are the things that we can help you with. Knowing, working with you is not us to make the decision for you. It is you just making decision with our help. We are there to say, okay, these are the universities you want to apply to. These are the possibilities you can enhance your admission, and we plan for it. And again, plan for it. We understand financially, part of it is your planning, but we need to help you. We are helping you to understand those possibilities and be your advocate to move forward. Other, again, we do provides opportunities for students to not only get the support from us for our services that or our other programs on campus, and you also need to know that there are even universities providing those support for you before transferring. They have transfer services, and we are there to connect you with the universities as well, providing workshops, providing college fair. For example, we did have a college fair for about 55 universities were participating. That was an opportunity for students to connect with them, make the connection, and asking direct questions directly from them. They are they are the point persons that they know most up-to-date information about their programs. They know more loopholes about their program and services than can support specific to you. Those are the things that we are trying to bring it up to you and helping you by providing those connections. We have virtual, making sure that the information about virtual tours now these days is available to you. And this information is available on our transfer center. Every semester we do provide workshops, as Diana was saying that we did have workshops on how to do your application. Completing the application, it seems easy, but it can be complicated. We are there to help you step by step, one by one, to make sure that it goes through. For CSU, for UC private institution, writing your personal statement or personal insight questions, we are there to support you as a whole or as individual, as one step at a time, and from step one of planning to the end, and helping you to be your advocate. Understanding this process is not just following the steps, understanding and following the steps. And when you get there, it's a bigger institution, and we are not there to support you. We are not there to hold your hand. There are support services, and you need to know where to look. And this is what we are trying to give you, to be your advocate, to understand the services available on the campus that you're transferring to, and be reaching out. The most important thing is to reaching out, because if you don't come up and ask questions, they don't know you need your help, and they don't know what it is available. You're there that you need help. Again, it's you need to be your advocate, as many of you also said, and know your resources. The more you know, the more you're informed, the better decisions you can make, and you become more successful and be less stressful or stressed, because one of you have mentioned also about making the balance. These are the things that we also need to know, that the more you know, the more you feel comfortable with the campus, then you are more successful, because you know where to go at the time that there is urgency. You know, you're not panicking. You're not going to be stressed to see where I can go to get help. You know where things are. You know the campus. Be acquainted to the campus. We're helping you before transferring, the steps before transferring. As soon as you apply, the next step, but after application, what you need to do, that's where we are doing and providing the workshop also to support you with that. But when you get to four-year university, from that point on, you also need to know what to do to the end to make sure that you're successfully completing your degree. Before you know it, as soon as you get in there, time passes. Before you know it, you're graduating. Then you need to be very on it. Be on the top of everything. Enjoy your experience with university and being a college student, but knowing where you're going and what you're doing, it would be helping you to successfully complete it. And one of you was mentioning that you wish to know how is the upper division courses work. You can always connect with the universities and see if you can audit the course, or not audit, but shadow the course, being in the class, or with one of your friends to go to the classroom. Often faculty at the four-year university that allow that. And always you're welcome to connect with your faculty and us at the counseling department. We can support you and let you know. And I know that our faculty are really working with the students to make sure that the students understand how rigorous it is being at a four-year university. Sorry about this. You also talked about the courses that you need to know before transferring. That's when the planning comes through. It's important to attend the orientation at the four-year university. These are the things that we're going to work with you individually. And my advice to you is that if you are completing your CSU or you see IGETC courses, make sure that you send official copy of that along with your transcript at the very end. Because if you don't send it, then you need to follow the educational breadth that requires for bachelor degree at that institution or San Francisco State or any other CSUs. But if you are completing that, then make sure that you ask for certification to be sent along with your transcript. That means the university will accepting that set of general education as a completion of lower division GE, and you are moving up to upper division classes. Then it is important to do that to take one step further. And for financial aid and EOPS, definitely you need to connect with the universities. And again, working with us at the transfer center, we are helping you to know where to go and what to do and how you become active advocate for yourself. And we are there to support you individually or as a group, and just reach out to us. You receive newsletter from Transfer Center once a month, and you need to, if you have any questions, come up to us and helping us to help you to you're completing your tag, your application, your ADTs, Associate Degree for Transfer, or any other information you need from transfer. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Soraya. You covered a lot of really, really great information. And that's why in our program, we always really push for students to join Transfer Center workshops. You have so much knowledge that we really, really appreciate everything that you share and all the services that you provide. So we're gonna do a really quick stretch break and then we're gonna come back for Q&A. If you have any questions for our panelists or if you have any more questions for Soraya, you will have some time to do that. But yeah, if you've been in this session for a bit, you know, we're an hour in and you're starting to feel a little bit tired, feel free to follow along or just take a break and stand up, go to the kitchen, grab something to drink. But you can turn off your camera and mute yourself for this. And then I'm gonna play the video. Again, feel free to follow along or to do your own thing, but we're gonna let this video play. And then once it's done, we're gonna come back and we're gonna go into the Q&A.
Hello, welcome to a 3-minute relaxation exercise break that you can use at any time. I'm Jennifer Wagner with Collective Wellness. We're going to start by into a forward bend. I'm going to turn just a little bit. Feet are hip width apart and then toes are straight forward. Arms just kind of hanging down, and then you're going to tuck your chin and then just slowly curl yourself down. Letting those arms hang, chin is tucked, just kind of helps reverse gravity that pushes down on our spine and shoulders throughout the day. You can always have your hands on your thighs and shins if you need a little support. If not, just let them hang down, chin is tucked. Deep breath in and exhale. Start to curl yourself up, inhale, pressing your spine to the top. Good. And then inhale, reaching for the sky. Grab those hands together and just sway side to side. Feel it down the sides of the body. You don't realize how tight are the kinks that we get throughout the day. One more. Center. Now you're going to round the back out. Elbows are bent. Tuck the tailbone under. And then you're going to up, lift, and then open it out wide. Open the chest out. Stretch. Good. And then round it out again. And then open back up. Stretch the chest. And round it out one more time. And open. And release. Shoulders relax. Rock your head side to side. We carry our stress through here. We don't realize it. So let those shoulders drop down as we stretch through the neck and shoulder. Ear drops down and switch. Now turn our head side to side. Inhale. Exhale. You notice that I'm not doing a neck roll. I'm just going from one position to the next. To the front. Push your chin back. Tuck your chin down. Feel that in the back of the neck. And then push your chin up and out. And back. And down. And up and out. And back. And down last time. And release. Good, and just kind of shake it out. Just to the fingers. Move those fingers as quickly as you can. And then make a loose fist and rotate the wrist one direction. Switch directions. Flick water off your fingers. And then shake it out. And deep breath in. And exhale, release. One more time. Stretching high and then letting go. Thank you so much for joining me.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. I hope you found the little stretch break helpful. Hopefully it felt good to get up and move around. And definitely if you've been sitting on a computer for a while, that helped you really stretch out your back and your chest. So now we're gonna do Q&A to wrap up. I'm gonna stop sharing the PowerPoint presentation. And we still have a couple of our panelists left on the call. If any of you have any questions for them, or again for Soraya, you have some time to ask questions, or have a conversation. While we wait for questions to come in, we wrapped up, I have one question. So we wrapped up the panel portion by asking what advice you had for Latinx students who were planning to transfer. But I'm wondering if you can all share like any advice or anything that you would have liked for the staff and the faculty who were helping you out throughout this process, to know about like what it's like to be a Latinx student at a community college, or what the transfer process was like for you.
So it's always hard to know who's gonna go on Zoom. So I don't know, like I want to be respectful. I don't want to interrupt anyone. But so I definitely didn't know anything. So I'm first generation Latinx student. So I was in, I don't know if anyone's familiar with AVID in the like high schools. So I was an AVID, kind of prepare students who are first gen, underrepresented minorities, to be prepared to go to college and know what kind of coursework is expected of them. And then that's how I knew, like I started to get to know what being in college is like, or applying to colleges, because I applied then. And I definitely didn't know, like I learned a lot like about like financial aid process and the scholarships. And I feel like it's hard to, if like I know people who have like, let's say like their parents who went to college or university and they're helping them, and I've never had that. So I had to kind of find my way through like resources on campus to be able to understand what like certain questions we're asking. So I feel like it's very helpful to have a transfer center or have people you can reach out to that went through that, which is why I'm always like open to, if anyone has questions, I'm down to help. But I mean, I guess that's all I wanted to say, that it's like, it's very hard to know, but now that I've been through it, I applied when I was done with high school, and then I decided to go to community college. So I applied twice. So I've been through it a couple of times. So I understand it pretty well. And it has changed in the last few years. So yeah.
I agree. The transfer process is complicated and is changing day by day and year by year, especially now that we are all virtually doing our business. It's really different, but it's complicated, and we are here to support. And I can say that even students who are not first generation, and because these things are changing, complicated, and it's for us, even at the community colleges, we are closely working with universities and getting the information. It is complicated, and it is people, even students who had parents who went to, or siblings who went to college a few years back, the policies has changed since then. Things are changing, and even students who are not first generation, they are coming as a first generation because, again, things are changing. And it is great. I really greatly appreciate what you're saying, and I appreciate your experience sharing with us. It is important to understand that process and take the stress away from yourself. And we are glad and helping and supporting our students to go through that process. And I want to everybody know that you're not alone, and we are there to help you. And Transfer Center always working with a lot of programs on our campus, including Spark Point, SO Adelante STEM program, Promise, all of the programs, EOPS. We are all working closely, and we have good relationship to support the students, because we are here to support our students. We are here to make sure that you go through.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, met with counselors and had this information. I still remember that I thought that because I was taking classes according to my educational plan, and because my counselor always recommend those classes, I was like, oh, I'm ready to transfer. But then when these time come out, I was like, okay, I think I'm ready. But then they start asking me like, oh, how many units count for your transfer? And I was like, do I'm not ready yet. So I think this information, it's important for the students to know and understand ahead of time, rather than be, on that line going into the transfer time, right? So because I sat with James McCallan, and he was the one going with me together, counting my units, and it was a process that I didn't know. I was kind of confused, concerned, and I mean, I think it will help the students also to be more active and understand the transfer process.
Thank you for sharing, Diana. I think you were gonna go next, Elmer.
Yeah, thank you. So just, I feel really represented by what Diana and what Jay just mentioned. But, I think what made it that much harder was sort of the logistics of signing up for classes, books, and things of that nature. It did not make it easier. It was so much harder to sign up for a class at UCSB versus Kenyatta, where Kenyatta, I feel like you would either know way in advance whether you got into the class or not. At some of these bigger campuses, you find out when you show up, and there's 10 people sitting on the staircases leading up the auditorium and that kind of thing. So that was kind of jarring to me, and also the speed of the quarter system too is really different. And money was definitely a factor in why I decided to go to a community college and to transfer to begin with. I do have a younger brother, and that definitely played a role in sort of my calculus in deciding that. And so learning that I didn't need to try to overwork myself, that there are financial aid opportunities was really important too. So just kind of making those realizations in my first year, I learned a lot about how to be better in my second, and it really did show in terms of how successful I was in my classes, but also just how much happier I was kind of getting a feel of what I should be doing versus what I was doing wrong. So
Yeah, and you've already graduated, is that right, Elmer?
yeah, so I graduated in 2017 from Santa Barbara.
Congratulations. So I want to ask one more question, but I'm going to address one that we have in the chat. Can students join ESO Adelante at San Francisco State after their first year as a transferred student? So I think your question is if they can participate in the ESO Adelante program once they're at SF State after their first year, and I believe the answer is yes. So you can participate in the peer mentorship component, and they also have like different workshops, activities, socials. You can participate in that a year after you've transferred. Regarding the History 451 class, I'm not too sure about that. And our colleague, Jasmine Camariotis, who would be able to answer that, had to leave early. But I can send you her email so that you can ask her directly. And then my question for you, Elmer, I graduated in 2017 too. Personally, being first gen and then graduating, I also didn't know a lot about like entering, like a career after you graduate. So I wanted to ask about what your experience was with that.
Yeah, no, that was a really rough transition for me personally. I know that a lot of my classmates had jobs lined up, in their last quarter of school, and they had gone through that approach. But for me, I was always interested in politics and, joining a legislative office, like thankfully I am now. And so I tried to find internships that, complemented that end goal. So I was, I interned for Senator Hill, who I work for, the summer that I went to UCSB. And then in the meantime, I worked at the Transfer Student Center at Santa Barbara, working with a lot of public, just high numbers of public people coming into the office and giving them tours. And, I became a resource to everybody who walked into the office because there were so many fresh, brand new transfer students who didn't know what the system works. So I found things like that that kind of complemented transferable skills that were going to be, helpful. And then, after I graduated, I knew that I was still passionate about city government or just government in general. And some political science students will go to law school or will work at a law firm to kind of get that experience or background. And so I worked for the city of Redwood City, where I grew up, as a management analyst intern for the summer. I came back. And so that was just a really great opportunity to kind of see how the office operates. And then I worked at a law firm for a little bit. And then there was an opening at Senator Hill's office, and I just jumped on it. And it was a lot smoother of a process than I thought it was going to be, because, I held the senator and I held the staff there on such a pedestal and in high regard. And, they looked at my resume, and in my interviews, it just made sense. Skills had lined up, and I'm doing a lot of public speaking like I am now, but in person a lot too. I go to, council meetings, and I'm dealing with complicated issues, and you have to be able to simplify it so anybody can kind of understand what the problem is or what the solution needs to be. So yeah, it doesn't always need to be the dream internship that you need to get, but it needs to be something that will feed into whatever your end goal is. And that's where I think transfer students, and especially first generation students, that's where trouble starts to come, because you think, I need to get internship A, this is what everyone else does for me to get that kind of job. And that's not always the case. So it's good to know that you can have some flexibility and still pursue your passions.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. I think Mary had a question too.
Yes, I was going to say that you all offered really good information, and a lot of information like advice to students, and then some of the roadblocks or how complicated it is just to transfer, right? A lot of different elements involved. I want you to answer if there's one thing, only one thing, that you think can help to make the transfer process much easier. What would it be? So from your entire experience with transferring, just one thing that would have simplified the process, what would it be?
I'll go first on this one. I think for me personally, the thing that made it so much more simple was that I knew what major I wanted to study. And I know sometimes for transfer students, that's not the case. And, it means that you kind of have to recalibrate what classes you took at your CC, and you have to take more classes and other prerequisites to get into the majors. So knowing that I wanted to be a poli-sci major, I had my subsequent quarters lined up, and I knew what classes I wanted to take when. And so I was able to get really organized, and that was a game changer. So, and it also helped that I was passionate about it. So I think that's the underlying thing. You have to be passionate about whatever you want to study or you pursue, because if you're not, it's always going to it'll come back, and it'll make more problems later when you decide this isn't really something I want to follow or work on. So
Thank you for sharing that.
For me, I would say, oh, sorry. Did it? Okay. For me, it would be as simple as like ask for help. Don't be shy to ask questions. If you get stuck in anything, whether it's like actually doing the application or where you're in class and you don't understand something, I sometimes have trouble still to this day to like reach out, but then I remind myself like I gotta do it. Like you gotta advocate for yourself. Even within the classroom, if you like are struggling with the problem, there's always maybe classmates that have a group that they do work together, or the professor is willing to have office hours with you. And right now, via Zoom, they're pretty available throughout different spans of time. So yeah, just reach out for help, and you never know what kind of connections you can make when you meet someone and someone helps you. Like for instance, like if I like when I ask Gonzalo something and him and I are like really close now, or like with Rance, I even ended up helping Rance with like STEM speaker series. So you never know what kinds of connections you can make with just start of a conversation. So don't be shy, like ask questions, get to know people. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will say that for CSU students, right, they need to fill out this call application. And I mean, instead of waiting until the last minute where you don't have like even time to make questions or ask or like do what you need. So I think it should be really helpful for students to fill out this application early and safe, because it's able, right? You can do it that, so you can save and then continue another day. So that way they will have time to ask questions if they don't know how to complete a section or something.
Thank you. Thank you, Deanna. Jay.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And just like that, we ran out of time. So as we close out our session, I'm going to share one final slide. So this event, this student panel, it's part of a series of events that Cañada has put together to celebrate Latinx Heritage Month. And we are closing out our celebration and our series of events on Thursday with our very last event. It's going to be a foro comunitario, which translates to a community forum. And we're going to be sharing information about what Cañada is doing or what resources are available for students during COVID-19. And also we're going to be talking about Cañada's commitment to anti-racism and what we are doing in that respect as well. So again, it's going to be Thursday from October 15th from 5 to 6. It's actually, sorry, 6 to 7:30 p.m. And I'm going to send the link in the chat really quickly. So if you're interested in joining and you're still, not tired of myself and Margarita and the Eso Adelante team, we really, really encourage you to join us. Oops, I typed in the wrong link, or that's Jasmine's email if you want to get in contact with her. And this is the RSVP link for the Foro Comunitario. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to see you at more events. Thank you to our amazing panelists and alumni for all that you shared. And yeah, we will see you around.